Um, and this university, it really was the foundation for the Japanese gardening industry. The Demoto brothers own this whole piece all the way out to East 14th, and over time they sold off parcels. Those parcels were redlined, obviously, and the last piece was this park, and they had a deal lined up to sell it to a developer. But before the deal could happen, they had recently refinanced, and the Great Depression hit, and the Bank of Oakland pulled the rug out and seized the land.
Wow.
So then, war came, became a WPA project. That's how the park came about. City eventually, bought the park, and that's the park we have today. This park used to have rallies for the Black Panthers, and even when Desley Brooks was around, I think a lot of people who live here remember the music concerts in the summertime, and reflect fondly on that. Um, and I think if you look at this amphitheater that we're standing in, was successful maybe even in the 50s or so, but it had fires. This was essentially Studio 2 right here. There was a ceramic studio. That was also a fire. I did that. I mean, I think maybe people know from, what was it, last Friday, not this last Friday, but the Friday before, there was another fire. So the back entrance to the rec center, you can't really get in. And I guess I get to all this because I'd love to see this park thriving. It's great to see the work that was done maybe this last week or so, clearing this whole area. I've been down in there cleaning it, cleaning out mattresses or whatever it is out of the creek.
I have
so
too.
It's really awesome to see, this last week it's been cleared out. I guess I say all this to say I would love to see this park thriving, but not at the expense of the man who's living right here. I don't understand why since 2015 we've met 191% of our market rate housing, but only 26% of our affordable housing. What's going to change? I mean, how can we have things like this, nice things, without being able to provide housing for the people who need it most? And I'm not talking about tiny sheds, I'm talking about housing. I live here because it's what I can afford. And if this is what I can afford, I'm wearing buttons and stuff, I've got a decent job, come on, we all know what I'm talking about, right? Come on, that's why I live here. And this, the people, you can't afford to live here, and if we're only building market rate housing, what are we doing? What's the future of Oakland?
I couldn't agree with you more. I could not agree with you more. So what are we doing? I can talk about what I'm doing and what I think needs to be done. Housing is a right. It is a basic human need. And when we as government care about things, we provide it to people. When kindergarten starts, we don't say, oh, I'm sorry, we only budgeted for 60% of the kindergartners this year. Your kid is out of luck, go home. We don't turn people away from food benefits. We don't turn people away from emergency medical care. But we do that with housing. Section 8 housing vouchers, housing choice vouchers, nationally only go to 21% of the people who qualify for them. In California, that number is 13%. In the 70s, when we didn't have modern levels of homelessness, the federal government invested 3 times the amount of subsidies in housing than it does today. And I am part of a national group that is trying to get universal entitlements to housing. Everyone should get housing. And that should be the federal government's obligation because they are the only layer of government that can give an entitlement. So until that miracle happens, and again, believe it or not, I'm the chair of something called Mayors and CEOs for U.S. Housing Investment. It's actually a bipartisan group that has actually taken that position of housing as an entitlement, as federal policy. But while in the meantime, what are we doing in Oakland? I can say that while we are not meeting the needs for affordable housing, the things that we pulled when I first became mayor, I tried to pull all the people I could together to say, what are we doing about the housing crisis? It is the most pressing crisis that we have. We came up with this plan. We call it the 17K plan. A lot of people talk about the 3 Ps: protect, preserve, produce. And I can say that since we enacted that plan, affordable housing production in Oakland has tripled compared to what it was before. It is still completely insufficient, but it is 3 times greater than it was before we launched this plan. Now, what am I going to be involved in next year when I'm not the mayor anymore? A statewide constitutional amendment to lower the voter threshold for housing bonds. It is not democratic that you need a 2/3 vote to be able to issue bonds to finance affordable housing. We don't have enough affordable housing in the state of California, and we have made it next to impossible to create the public funding that is needed to create even part of what is needed right now. So I believe that homelessness is a housing problem. A lot of people like to blame it on other things. It is very, very clear. And there's a great new book with that exact title. I encourage you all to read it. Homelessness is a housing problem. It puts out perfect data that shows the complete correlation. In the Bay Area, we have added 7 to 11 new jobs for every 1 new unit of housing that we've built. And we have been doing that year after year after year since about the year 2000. And so it is also a problem that Oakland cannot solve by itself in isolation. We do need regional and statewide solutions. I will tell you that there's an opportunity for you as voters to decide whether or not to continue to have bond money to build affordable housing, as well as to continue that equity-driven paving plan that has finally started fixing Oakland's raggedy roads. There will be an infrastructure bond measure. It's actually a continuation of the existing bond that you all passed in 2016, so it actually won't raise your taxes. It will just continue to charge the same amount. And that bond right now would generate $350 million for affordable housing, particularly for our formerly unhoused here in Oakland. So it's a city event. I'm not going to tell you how to vote, but I want you to be aware that this is going to be on your ballot, and the continuation of that public investment in affordable housing, in fixing our roads, is going to have a profound impact. But thank you for your question. I could not agree with you more.
Thank you, Mayor. We have, just because of the sake of time, we have a lot of questions that are out here. We have 4 people that we've already identified. We're going to take those questions and see how far we get, and then we're probably going to pause there and then create an opportunity for all questions to be answered, and we'll have a way for you to do that through thought exchange. So thank you for your patience.
Thank you for your time, Libby Schaaf, Mayor Libby Schaaf. My name is Terrell Gamble, and I guess first things first, I am running for Peralta District Community College Area 3. All right, so we'll see what happens there. But I'm not a native of Oakland. I'm from LA, and I moved here in '99. Unfortunately, I moved here as a homeless youth in '99, and I didn't have the opportunity to live in a tough shed or whatever that the city was providing. But I, sort of figured it out and scraped and saved, and was fortunate enough to purchase a house for me and my family here in Oakland. So I call this place home. Yes. What troubles me the most, sort of 2 things. First is, it's getting more difficult to live here. One, because of sort of the rising cost of the addendums to my property taxes through all of the, sort of, ballot measures The measures Y is the measure C, the A, B, and D along the city and the county. And when I bought my house, my property taxes were roughly $600, $800, and 7 years later that has doubled, right? But my income hasn't doubled to be able to keep pace with that, right? Second thing is, my students, go here to public school. Shout out to Melrose Leadership Academy. Fortunate enough to, find a school in my neighborhood where my kids can walk to safely, right, and walk home safely, and not have to worry about that, right? But my challenge is that it seems as though there's, from the government standpoint, there's a lot of social engineering that leaves out just the basic services of government, right? Roads without potholes, right? Stop signs, regular trash pickup, right? Which everybody here talks about litter. I know that's your issue, but we're not expecting you to pick up the trash that people throw out the window. We have a lot of bad actors here. So that's my first issue. My second issue is, which is kind of petty, right? It's the aggressiveness of, the parking tickets. Right?
One thing Oakland does really well.
Because I can get a parking ticket, but if I moved to Wood Street and left my car, I would never get a parking ticket. Or if I moved to Home Depot and left my car, I would never get a parking ticket there. Right? But if I'm 5 minutes late, right, on somewhere where there's street sweeping, right, I get a $63 ticket. And it's just another tax, right, that just makes it hard to live here. The constant, right, government hand in my pocket, right, is really making it difficult, right, to be an Oakland resident.
All right, I appreciate that question. Hopefully you won't feel like it's a hand in your pocket, but rather like a pat on your back, okay? I do want to acknowledge one great thing that the Oakland City Council did this year was pass a bond policy that requires that this extension of the existing infrastructure bond, again, to fix the roads, to build affordable housing, and also to fix up things like that beautiful rec center. The policy is that it cannot be issued in a way that raises your existing tax rate. So for purposes of bonds, 2022 is the baseline year that under this bond program, the city cannot go above. I'm sorry if you don't feel like you're getting everything you want for the taxes you pay. I think sometimes, though, people take some of what government does for granted. Some of the greatest workers for the city of Oakland, and you tell them I said this, is our sewer workers. I think, when we flush the toilet or take a shower, we forget that there's like a huge group of people that are making that possible every day. And we neglected our roads for decades. And the problem with the road condition is it gets a little bit worse, and then all of a sudden it gets a whole lot worse. And so you've noticed, I know you all have, that we come out and we fill a pothole. And then as soon as it rains, that pothole is back. And that's because the roads have gotten so deteriorated that they won't even hold a pothole fill anymore. So the days of pothole filling are over. We have to actually replace that whole road. And that costs 7 times the amount of replacing, like just resurfacing a road while it's still in good condition. So we are playing a lot of catch up. Now I know different people have different feelings about taxes, and that's why, thanks to the state of California, you get to vote for them. I will say that in Oakland, the most of our property-based taxes do have exemptions for low-income property owners, so you can check to see whether you qualify for that, because most of our taxes you can get an exemption from at a certain income level. And also, I think a lot of people feel that these are much more progressive taxes than, say, a sales tax increase. that often is felt most by those with the least income. So we will continue to try and make you feel like your taxes are being spent well. And I appreciate your question tonight.
Good evening, Mayor Schaaf. I want to thank you for your years of service. My name is Gloria. I am a proud D7 resident and also a very proud member of the Black Cultural Zone Collaborative, which is really focused on Black and culture in East Oakland and Deep East Oakland. This really is a commentary, not so much for you, but for those who are already working in the city and for those who hope to lead the city as we move forward. The disinvestment that has occurred for decades in East Oakland, particularly in D7 and D6, has got to cease. And for all of those who are working in the city currently, if you plan to be here past that 145-day mark, and if you plan on leading residents as we move forward into 2023, it is critical to make sure that you are letting residents know how to have impact in their community. Because everybody thinks something's wrong, I should tell the mayor. Oh my God, the potholes, I should tell the mayor. Oh my God, the trash, I should tell the mayor. But in reality, the city of Oakland is not necessarily structured like that, and residents need to know exactly how the city is structured so they know how to give input to these very critical issues that matter, like trash, like potholes, like city streets, like high tickets, like all of that. Because everyone doesn't really know the structure of the city of Oakland. And if I were to complain, I guess I was just supposed to go to the mayor, but not necessarily to my city council person or to the city manager's office. So make sure the residents of the city know how to get involved and lend their voice to what's wrong, more so lend their voice to what's right.
Oh, I appreciate that. And also, you shouldn't have to just go to the mayor or go to your city council member. The city structure should be designed to solve your problems, to hear you and respond. When I became the mayor, they had a list of helpful city phone numbers. It was like 100 numbers. There was nothing helpful about it at all. I will say, I hope that if you don't already have Oak 311, the app loaded on your phone, this is actually like a direct line to the city administrator. This app, oh, I have a low battery. 434,996 issues fixed since this launched. Something went wrong. So I know that there are hot spots here. If anybody wants to download this app, somebody will help you. You can also just call 311 during business hours, but the app works all hours. And that is also one way to get your issue solved directly without having to go through your politician. You're welcome to call your politicians too. It's what we signed up for. But thank you, Gloria, for saying that. Peggy? All right.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. This is Max Orozco. I just want to make that clear. I'm running for District 2, School Board Director. I do apologize to everyone. My English is not that perfect. I'm Mexican, 100%.
Yo puedo hablar or contestar en español si quieres.
I actually one of the people that voted for you, and my feelings were that you were going to change Oakland. Unfortunately, I am disappointed. At this moment, I am still waiting for you to respond the question that my brother Joel made about your interaction at this moment with Oakland School District. It seems like you have looked away and you have let all our children, especially black and brown children, being taken away from their schools. You have endorsed Kira. Is that your, okay, Kira? And you probably thought she was going to do a good job. But Thursday, when I was beaten, literally my life was put in danger. I was seconds from losing my life. At this moment, she has not reached out to me or to any of the parties that got injured by OUSD. And I want to ask you personally, would you help me and all the community at Parker to find out who gave this order to assault us, to kidnap me? At this moment, I'm standing here in front of you with a severe chest pain. I'm not working 100% like I used to, and I need help from you to get to the bottom of this. I want these people responsible to get the whole weight of the law. Doesn't matter who it is. At this moment, I don't really care. I want them to be actually prosecuted. I want my children and everybody's children to have a school that they could call home. Most of us that are parents, we don't see our children until the end of the day. Like me, I left my house at 6 in the morning. I still have not seen my children. The school has become my children's home. Their teachers have become partially their parents. At this moment, to me, it seems that you have looked away. You have let the school district do what they please with our children. And these are children that will rise Oakland, that will make Oakland a greater city. So I do would like for you to actually answer straight up the question that my brother Joel did.
You'll have to remind
And
me what that was.
I could
Straight up.
actually give him the phone so he can
No,
answer it
no,
again.
no. If you don't
And
remember,
I
then
do want to say,
this is your question,
and I do want to say,
because
why
I
is
believe
it,
I did
why
answer it.
I then my limited Spanish did not actually cut that answer.
Then what is the question
But
you want me to answer?
OUSD accountable. It's not hard to remember.
I just
What
said
are you going to do the whole OUSD accountable for assaulting parents and community? What do you mean you don't remember that
It's-
simple question?
I
That's
it,
absurd.
also I do want to point out to my brother out there about the generators. I was actually using a generator to keep electricity to my house. The city came in. The building department came into the house that I was renting. Child Protective Services came to my house.
Wow.
Animal Control came to my house. Why is it that we have generators supplying electricity for these cannabis locations? Why they're not being held accountable? Why is not Child Protective Services taking care of those generators? Is there favoritism? Is it because we're the community that doesn't have that money, that we live, like we call it, down the hill? Is it because we're brown? Is it because we're black? What is it that we have been discriminated? And can I get an answer? Are you going to do something to help me bring these people accountable for what they did to us at Parker?
I will say what I have said in the past, which is I cannot condone unlawful activity. I will not condone it, but I also can respect passion. I respect civil disobedience and the intent behind it. And that is our jobs, is to respect the law. So I do not know a whole lot about the situation. I have not been brought into it. I have not been asked to take any actions. I know our police department has not been involved. And so my understanding is that this will take its course through our criminal justice system, which is run by the county government, and that I will sit and watch. And I just want to reiterate what I said. I too am a mother with children. I know what it's like to work and be away from them because you're serving your community. I respect that. I honor that. And I thank you for your passion.
your life? Because that's what I was when I was under at least 2 of those security guards. And people that have seen
I
the
apologize that this is not something that I've been asked to be involved with.
I am asking now.
I hear that. I will look into it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Last question. For those who have other questions, just before you close out, Mayor Schaaf, we have this thing called Thought Exchange, and we definitely would love to hear your thoughts. Want you to get engaged with us. Do not leave this space without having your question asked. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to offer the mic to anyone else, but we definitely want to make sure that we continue this conversation, so this way we can get solutions to a lot of the issues. So please click your phone, pull it out, grab this barcode, go directly to the Thought Exchange so we can hear your questions and then respond to you. Thank you all. Mayor Schaaf, closing words.
All right. Thank you. I just want to honor everybody's pain, everybody's history, what people's realities have been, your experience of your city government. And I thank you for coming here today and sharing that. That is important. And I am here in person in this park to listen and to hold everything, the good, the bad, the pain, the history. But let us also still hold this vision of a future Oakland that I believe that is the thing that we can all come together on. What that feels like. An Oakland with no homelessness, an Oakland with no neighborhood that looks different or less clean or is less safe than another neighborhood. That is the Oakland that we are all here together to fight for. I want to thank the city staff who came here. Please hang out. They are here to answer questions and to continue to try and serve. They were incredible heroes during this pandemic. You have no idea what these people did outside of their normal jobs. Jamie, I'm looking at you and thinking about our librarians delivering food to homebound seniors. I mean, incredible. The best public servants on the planet. So let's give it up for them. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Stay together, build community, take action. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Take Action cards back in the back.